Welcome to the debate. Today we're really digging into Shahram Taraqqi's work, The Path to Purposeful Business. And the central question we're looking at is this: how should businesses interpret and, apply Taraqqi's call for real planning and precision, and also his emphasis on practical and experiential knowledge, particularly when they're starting out and thinking about future growth? I'll be arguing for a kind of upfront, structured precision. Let's call it architectural precision.
Okay. And I'll be exploring what I see as more of a navigational precision, something adaptive that refines over time, and arguing for the essential role theory continues to play. It's definitely an interesting tension Taraqi sets up.
It really is. And Taraqi, he's quite direct early on. He says it is rare to see a business begin with real planning and precision. He points to two key things: the initial approach to starting, right? And then the future destination that business will lead us to. And for him, he states it plainly: practical and experiential knowledge is far more valuable than purely theoretical knowledge. So this sounds like a call for a very deliberate, experience-based blueprint from the outset, a kind of 180-degree shift, as he puts it, towards defined goals built on what actually works in the real world. That upfront design, that architectural precision, seems foundational to his idea of purpose.
I see that point, and precision is clearly important. But Taraqi also observes that many businesses are, quote, confused at the time of launching, and they often struggle later on. Now, doesn't that suggest that maybe precision isn't something you just achieve perfectly at the start? If businesses are unsure how to progress or grow, well, then that initial blueprint, however precise, might not be the whole story. It points towards what I'm calling navigational precision, this need to constantly adjust course based on what you learn. And crucially, Taraqi does say this does not mean we should disregard academic studies and theory. He sees them as a pathway to growth, perfection, and true spirituality. So theory isn't discarded. It's integrated for deeper, ongoing transformation, not just sticking rigidly to plan A.
Right. I understand the adaptation point. But isn't Taraqi's initial complaint the rarity of real planning and precision, suggesting the absence of that upfront structure is the core problem? It sounds like he's advocating for a preventative measure, getting the architecture right first. His call for real planning and precision seems focused on designing that initial strategy, covering both the start and the destination before you launch, specifically to avoid that confusion he mentions, like having a detailed flight plan before takeoff.
That's fair. It is a compelling argument for planning. But is it just about upfront rigidity? I mean, Taraqi's whole goal seems to be helping businesses transform, especially those unsure how to progress. If you're unsure, you're often already moving, right? So doesn't that lean towards precision being, a dynamic thing, a process of refining? Maybe like agile development, where you learn and adjust constantly from feedback? What good is a beautifully precise initial plan if the landscape changes dramatically right after you start?
Perhaps. But then we come back to his statement: practical and experiential knowledge is far more valuable than purely theoretical knowledge. That's a pretty strong declaration. It advocates for actionable, real-world lessons as the main source of effective precision. It feels like he's arguing for simplifying things, for grounding the strategy in direct experience, because that's what truly builds a precise and purposeful path from day one. You learn by doing and apply it immediately. How can abstract theory really compete with that, especially in building that initial stable foundation?
Well, yes, the practical is vital, absolutely. But again, he doesn't throw theory out. He makes that explicit clarification. This does not mean we should disregard academic studies and theory. He actually elevates theory, seeing it as this pathway to growth, perfection, and true spirituality. So it's not just about, basic survival or function. It's about deeper understanding, about real transformation. Couldn't it be that theory gives us the framework we need to properly interpret our practical experience, to learn the right lessons from it, rather than just sort of stumbling from one experience to the next?
So to sum up my view, I see Taraqi championing that initial real planning and precision, which is fundamentally rooted in practical and experiential knowledge. This structure, this blueprint, seems designed to provide that clear path from the very start right through to the end goal, aiming to head off the confusion he sees as so common.
And I'd agree on the importance of intentionality, he stresses. But my reading suggests he also implies a much more adaptive approach is needed, one where businesses are constantly weaving together what they learn on the ground, their practical experience, with that essential theoretical understanding. This allows for genuine, ongoing growth and transformation. Precision, in this view, isn't a fixed destination you set at the start, but more like a target you're constantly refining your aim towards.
It seems clear we both recognize Taraji's strong emphasis on intentionality and clarity for businesses. Our difference lies, I think, in how his concept of precision should be applied. Is it primarily that upfront architectural design, or is it more of a dynamic, navigational process? And tied to that is how we balance the practical experience with the theoretical framework throughout a business's life. It definitely gives our listeners plenty to think about regarding their own approaches.
Exactly. It really highlights that ongoing challenge of balancing foresight with the flexibility needed to adapt and truly grow.